Fight Mike here. Today we're going to be going through the entire UFC Nashville card that just took place. It was headlined by Derrick Lewis and Tallison Texeira. Jumping in with the first fight of the night, it was Fatima Klein versus Melissa Martinez. Honestly, before the fight, I didn't know if I was going to really enjoy this one, but it turned out to be a fantastic fight between the two. I picked Fatima Klein to win this as a 30-27 decision. She looked really slick in the fight. She was on the way to getting a 30-27, I reckon. She was outclassing Melissa throughout the fight, and then she ended up getting a beautiful head kick KO in the third round. She looked a lot more controlled. She was able to push forward constantly. Her front kicks and jabs would literally never miss throughout it. And Melissa looked all right in the first and second round. First round definitely getting outpointed, but the second round she was sort of matching the offense from Fatima Klein. And she was able to get some good kicks on her own. She was on the back foot though, so it didn't look very good for the judges. But then the third round, Fatima Klein just came out really well. She was able to box up Melissa. And then she ended up finishing her with a beautiful time lead head kick as Melissa was going for a right hand. So it was an absolutely amazing finish. Hit her some ground and pound after. She's a really good prospect for 25 years old. She kind of reminds me of a young Rose Namajunas before she became a little bit complacent. And I think she's going to be a really good prospect for the future. She seems to be hungry. She seems to be getting better each fight. Her striking's clean. Good head movement. Really good reactions. Good eyes. So I'm really excited to see what's coming up next for her in the future. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Mitch Ramirez versus Mike Davis. I picked Mike Davis to get this one done. I thought it was going to be a decision, but very early in the fight, Mike Davis was able to get a takedown, move to the back, hold, and control Ramirez from there, threatening the rear naked choke throughout the round, but just neutralizing Ramirez for that first round. I saw people calling for 10-8. Shut up. Never do that again. I don't want you speaking about MMA again if you want to call that a 10-8. There was no damage done in that round. But round two started and Mike Davis was really, really tired at the start of the round, but he recovered pretty quickly. He got hit with a knee, got rocked and hurt in the first part of the round, but then he composed himself completely and started putting it on Ramirez. He threw 3 to 5 punch combinations, mixing in some body shots and hooks over the top. Ended up hitting him with a flying knee and then teeing off on him against the fence and then TKOing him with this sort of like step through right hook finish. It was really beautiful finish. And he just had like a clinical performance. We know Ramirez gets really tired after the first round. So I sort of expected the outcome to look like this. But Mike Davis, really, really good performance. I want him to get back in there soon because his boxing and his striking on the feet, he actually had really good timing for, so I feel like he should capitalize on it while he's got the success. Ramirez, I also want to say, looked pretty good in this fight, but he slowed down really bad. And once he had exploded for some offense, after the flurries, he was sort of cooked on the feet. So he needs to fix the pacing or cardio issue if he wants to turn his UFC career around. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Kennedy Nzechukwu versus Volta Walker. As soon as the fight started, because I picked Volta Walker, I was so nervous because he just started sprinting chin first towards Kennedy. I'm honestly so surprised that was his thought to how he was going to win it, to just run with his face first. It was actually so concerning. But he shot for a takedown from 2 meters away. It was a bit too far out. Then once the takedown got sprawled, he instantly started throwing some shovel hooks to the face with Kennedy on the fence. There were actually some pretty good shots, and as soon as he got him secured onto the fence, he just jumped straight onto the heel hook. I was pretty impressed with it. It was 3 people in a row that he's gotten the heel hook on, and I think he'll probably be able to get it onto anyone up until the Spivaks and Tiburas in the division. It's really impressive because Kennedy, he's shown in his fights against Paul Craig that he can defend on the ground against some good people, but Volta was just way too strong, and as soon as he got the position, you could see he was cranking that knee straight away. So it was it was a good tap that Kennedy did. Otherwise, he would have ripped his knee in half. But it was really good to watch because Volta is going to be a staple of the top 15 heavyweight division, I reckon, moving forward. But moving on to the next fight, we've got Lauren Murphy versus Eduardo Mora. I thought that Eduardo Mora was going to beat Lauren Murphy in a brutal 30-27 decision. But Murphy actually looked pretty good for a retirement fight. She slightly outpointed her on the feet first 2 rounds and then came back, got slightly outpointed, sorry. She was a little bit behind in the first 2 rounds. I said that completely wrong. And then the third round, she came back with a couple of guillotine attempts, started to wear on Eduardo Mora. But She had some pretty decent head movement and footwork throughout the rounds, but just not enough sting on her shots to actually like dissuade Eduarda Mora from coming forward. Eduarda didn't look too impressive as she was fighting. She was leaning a lot, leaning really far back when she was striking. She wouldn't really commit and sit down on her shots more. And although she's still young, if she wants to succeed in the UFC at a high level, she'll need to sit down on her shots more. She could have done a lot more damage in the first and second round. She was clearly faster than Lauren Murphy, but Lauren Murphy showing the crafty vetness in this fight, so good win from her for a retirement fight. Moving on to the next one, we've got Chidi Njokuani versus Jake Matthews. I thought that Chidi was going to be a lock in this fight, especially since the alleged unreported weight miss. I've only seen that online, but I saw that he could have weighed in at around 177 pounds, but then they deleted the footage or something like that. But instantly, as the fight started, Chidi looked like the faster fighter. When they got clinched up, Jake tripped Chidi and jumped straight onto his back, instantly attempting this choke, and ended up subbing him in literally 1 minute into the fight. I was surprised that Chidi couldn't shake him off. It looks like Jake was slightly like sliding off and seemed to be quite far off the back, but it was a really well-executed move, and I'm glad that Jake got the win on this one. I think he deserves like one of the bottom-ranked guys, or like a guy just outside the rankings, like a Randy Brown or something like that. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Max Griffin versus Chris Curtis. I picked Chris Curtis to win this one. Round one, Griffin outstruck Curtis on the back foot. Curtis doesn't have fast footwork. He doesn't really cut off the cage that much. There was a bad head clash that threw Curtis off, and also a nut shot that didn't look too good for the fight. But then second round, Curtis started throwing the left hand a lot more. He was moving forward more. He was trying to cut the cage off a little bit more. Definitely winning the round, but it was only slightly winning the round, but it was a somewhat close round. Round three, Curtis looked a much better fighter. His head movement was good. His pressure was good. He was getting to Max Griffin with the body shots, and you could tell it was really hurting Griffin in the third round. He was trying to clip farm, which was definitely unneeded. He was just like sort of referencing the crowd the whole time, but it would have been a bigger statement if he was able to get Griffin out of there. But can I just say, I picked this to a T. Like, I knew that Max Griffin was going to be sprinting backwards the whole time. Like, it's going to be really difficult, even though he landed some good shots in this fight, it's going to be difficult for him to be given a decision when he's literally full speed running the other direction. Like, he's never going forward in this fight. So it's just so difficult for the judges to give him the fights because he's literally not imposing any will. It's not like he's Adesanya, like, on the back foot in 2018 or 2019, where he's, like, beating people up with body kicks. Like, it's just nothing effective that he's doing on the back foot. So I can really understand why the judges don't give him these decisions. And I honestly can't believe it was a split decision. I thought it was a pretty clear second and third round to Chris Curtis. But moving on to the next fight, we've got Junior Taffa versus Taco Tokos. Round one was really close. Taco Tokos was spamming takedowns, but Taffa was getting some good elbows to the side of the head. Towards the end of the round, Taffa was just getting mat returned constantly, and you could see him getting more and more tired, but he ended up reversing position in the last few seconds, getting off some good ground and pound, definitely winning himself the round. Round two, he comes out really hard, rocks Taco Tokos, but then Tokos just shot for takedowns. He was able to get almost all of them in the second round. You can see that Taffa sort of has that heavyweight cardio. He looks good until he gets taken down like 2-3 times, and then you can just see each time it's like a health bar on him is just going down constantly. And Taco Tokos was able to just get a rear naked choke, wear him down a little bit more, make him hold his weight, just sitting above him, had good head position in it, and then got him flat out onto the mat with an arm triangle. And you could see every single time Taffa would look up the clock, it was just like he was dipping more and more, and you could see he was trying less and less as the fight went on. But I will give Tokos a lot of credit. He was really heavy on top. I know people are going to call this a terrible win, but Taffa is a pretty strong guy, and I'm actually pretty impressed that Tokos was able to get him. And he looked improved. He was, as soon as he was getting hurt, he was shooting for takedowns. He was trying to win the entire time. It's not like his last few fights where he just turns into a punching bag. So I'm actually pretty impressed with Tokos. He had a really good fight. It was a good game plan. He looked like he executed the game plan well. Not impressed with Junior Taffa. I think he needs to maybe go to BKFC or something like that. Moving on to the next fight, though, we've got Vitor Petrino versus Austin Lane. Vitor was able to submit Austin in the first round of their fight today. He dominated Austin Lane as soon as he got him to the ground. He was threatening arm triangle. He got mount onto him. He was throwing ground and pound onto him, just waiting for Austin to make a bad decision. As soon as Austin rolled over, he was able to get the rear naked choke. But Vitor looked massive, and he looks technical for a heavyweight as well, which is not common, and he's not fat at all. Like, I thought that he was going to have a little bit of trouble on him, but he actually looked hench out there. He looked massive. He holds the weight really well, and I was literally thinking about this just before the fight. We need the age of the Kane-size heavyweights. I even think Vitor could have been a bit lighter for this fight. He didn't need to be 247 pounds for this, but he looked really good in this. I think he should probably walk in there around 235, 230. I think that's where Kane walked in the cage. I think he would be the best around that weight, but he still looks really fast for heavyweight. His timing on the takedowns was good. And even if his grappling didn't look amazing for light heavyweight, you can really see the skill gap between them when he grapples with Austin Lane, because we've seen Austin Lane grapple with some good heavyweights. So it's impressive that Petrino was able to put that sort of performance and that sort of pace on Austin Lane, finishing him in the first round. I could see him doing pretty well with the state of the heavyweight division, so I'm excited to see what he's got coming up next. Next up, we got Nate the Train versus Morgan Charrier. God, I was so annoyed. I was hoping to see Nate the Train pull this one back, even though I picked Morgan Charrier to win this one. First round was super, super close. I favored Nate in the round. He was landing a bit more than Morgan Charrier. His offense was a bit more worrying as he was coming forward, just because... I'm meaning that more Landwehr's offense was worrying, just because coming forward with absolutely no defense, just with straight shots coming with his chin first. But Charrier wasn't looking fully switched on in this fight. I've seen him look a lot sharper in the past, and you'd think, seeing that Nate Landwehr sort of enters the pocket the same way each time, especially when it's straight shots. I was surprised that Morgan Charrier wasn't able to capitalize on that throughout the fight, but round one, I favored Nate in the first round. He was landing a little bit more than Morgan. Round two, Nate threw down. He was landing like a 3-1 on Charrier. It looked like Charrier was sort of wilting under the pressure. I thought it was going to be another one of those third round KOs for Nate the Train, but he looked really good in the third round. I thought Charrier was sort of breaking, and I think that it was all of the front kicks to the body was starting to really wear on Charrier, and the fact that his punches just weren't hurting Nate that bad. After seeing his performance last time, I think Charrier thought that he was going to be able to easily break Nate the Train this time. But in the third round, it came around, and instantly in the fight, I think Charrier realized that he was really tired, so he just started swinging hard in round three, and he was just able to KO Morgan Charrier with some meaty, massive hooks. And it's just I low-key think it was a big shame, because I thought that Nate the Train was winning the first two rounds. I thought he could have wrestled the third and sort of just wear on Charrier, but I think Charrier just knew that he was going to get finished if he didn't finish Nate at the start of that round. And Nate's looked a little bit chinny recently, so it's a shame about the result. Nate looked pretty good during the fight. I thought he could have won that, but I'm more so just disappointed with Charrier. He should have been able to capitalize on Nate's offense a lot earlier. I thought his counterpunching was better than that. I thought his eyes were better than that, but it was a alright performance. He's got some stuff to work on, though, moving forward, but hopefully we can get him on that Paris card. Next fight, we've got Steve Garcia versus Calvin Kattar. This was actually a pretty good fight. Exactly how I predicted it would go down, though. Throughout the fight, Steve Garcia was able to 3-1 him on strikes throughout each round. Garcia was pressing forward the entire time. And the thing is that Calvin Kattar, after all of these knee surgeries, he's just not quick enough. His feet don't move with his punches. It's a weird thing. It's sort of like DDP without the speed. And in the third round, I thought that Garcia flatlined Calvin Kattar, which was a massive thing. I've never seen Kattar hurt that bad. Even then, Kattar recovered quick. But in that fight, Kattar looked like he was struggling the entire time with the speed. It looks like his reaction time was nowhere near where it should be. It looked like he hadn't adjusted his game plan to the fact that he's gotten a bit older. Like, he was still trying to pull counter Steve Garcia when he should have just been trying to go forward with some educated offense, throw some fakes, throw some body kicks, throw some good combinations. But the thing is that Steve Garcia was a lot faster than him. So when Kattar would throw these one-punch combinations, Steve Garcia was able to slip and rip. He was able to parry them and just fire back. And then in between, you could see the Winklejohn style like coming through on Steve Garcia, and he was being really accurate, throwing a lot of strikes and a wide variety. His hands were looking dangerous. I see the Tony Ferguson comparisons. I definitely see that. And the thing is that I just think he was just much faster, much quicker, much more fresh than Calvin Kattar. And I think that he wanted it more than Kattar as well. You could see that as soon as Kattar started getting outclassed, that there was nothing else in his tool bag that he wanted to resort to. Whereas I think if Steve Garcia started getting beat, I could see him wrestling. So I think at this point that Steve Garcia just wanted it more. He was looking really good out there as well. His boxing looks slick. He definitely looks a bit like Tony Ferguson. And I used to be a massive fan of Tony Ferguson, so I'd love to see Steve Garcia go on a bit of a run here. As I said, though, I think Calvin Kattar's not been the same since the knee surgeries. He's not as quick as he used to be. He can't chase you down with punches anymore. It's a little bit of a shame. And the thing is that Steve Garcia, I think, back in the day, could have been a winnable matchup for Calvin Kattar. You could see he was coming really close with some of the counter shots, and I think back in the day, he's catching Steve Garcia and finishing him with that. So I think a better striker in the featherweight division will be able to be Steve Garcia's undoing. I could see like maybe not a Lerone Murphy finishing him, but I could see maybe I could see oh my God, why am I forgetting names right now? I could see a Diego Lopez beating him. I could see a Gene Silva beating him. I could even see a Josh Emmett beating him. I think Josh Emmett's slightly faster than Kattar at this point. But yeah, I think Steve Garcia looks pretty good. He's a tough dude as well, so I'll definitely give him a lot of props for that win. It was a great win. And the fact that he's one of the first guys, if not the first guy, to drop Calvin Kattar, it's a massive feat for him. I would love to see him like a legend fight for Kattar outside the rankings and then retirement if he wants to keep fighting. I don't want to see him perform while he's not the best version of himself, but give him another unk and I'd still watch him fight happily. Moving on to the next fight, we've got Stephen Thompson versus Gabriel Bonfim. This was a pretty entertaining fight. I thought this was a clear Stephen Thompson win. I thought that Bonfim lost the second and third round really easily, and I even picked Bonfim, so I can definitely say that. Round one was close. I thought Bonfim's boxing looked good. He was rocking Thompson here and there. He looked quicker, and it was actually working really well. It's weird that he didn't resort to that in the second and third round because he was kind of outboxing Stephen Thompson every time they would trade on the feet. It was just in that kicking range that Thompson was obviously going to school him in. Second round, Stephen Thompson lands a lot more. He was outpointing him. He leg kicked Bonfim and a massive gash came up on his shin because Bonfim did a nice check, but it was a huge gash. If it was Jack Shaw, they're stopping that fight. But he got rocked. Stephen Thompson was able to rock Bonfim with a head kick late into the round after sort of outpointing him in that second round. And in the second round, Bonfim looked so much more fatigued. Wonderboy was able to outpoint him very easily. And the thing is that if he was hurting him, he easily wins that round as well. Third round, Bonfim was super tired. You could see it straight away. Wonderboy was blasting kicks for the first like 2-ish minutes. Not landing as much as the second round, but he was still definitely outpointing Bonfim in this fight. And then Bonfim proceeded to do nothing, did some hugging and holding against the cage. He also did some disgusting, like, heels to the cut of Wonderboy's shin. Like, he couldn't cause actual damage on the feet, even though he was boxing him up in the first round. So he literally had to heal the cut of Stephen Thompson's leg, which I thought was just some bad moves, especially against a 42-year-old lovely vet like Stephen Thompson. And it was just, he did no damage in the third round and ended up winning a split decision somehow. I just don't get how he can win this. It sort of reminded me of the Aldo versus Bautista fight. It was a bad robbery, and I did not think that Bonfim would. I picked Bonfim to win, and I thought he looked terrible. I don't think he's gonna go very far in the top 15 of the welterweight division. They're very good, the welterweights, and if Wonderboy is giving you that much problems and winning that fight at 42 years old, you're going to get eaten alive by the top 10. I think Wonderboy should have won that fight. It was a terrible decision. But see, I'm a massive Wonderboy fan, but I'm actually not that mad that this is the result because maybe we can get some fun matchups with him because if he wins this fight, he's just fighting like Carlos Prates off a Jeff Neal win, or he's fighting like Ian Gary off a loss. Like, it just makes no sense to keep him in the rankings. Fighting these guys that he's just going to get smoked coming up against. I want to see him fight like a Muslim Salikov or something. That would be a fun matchup. I think there's some good guys outside the rankings that we can still enjoy his fights watching him. And maybe some cans he can just demolish. I'd love to see that. And Bonfim, I've been saying this. I said it before the fight. I should not have picked him. I don't think that he's all that. Even though I got the prediction right, I feel like I got it wrong because he's really not all that. He's not going to be a mainstay of the top 15 division. The welterweight division is really difficult anyway. So he's just not going to have a good time there. I think that people like Shavkat would beat him 100%. Ian Gary's beating him. Joaquin Buckley's going to KO him in round 2. I just don't think he's all that in the welterweight division. Moving on to the main event, we've got Derrick Lewis versus Tallison Texeira. I picked Derrick Lewis by a first or second round KO, so I felt very vindicated that I was able to get this one done. Well, Derrick Lewis was able to get this one done. I wasn't out there knocking out Tallison Texeira. But I will say, it was an early stoppage. Like, I've seen people justifying it online, but you can take points in those situations. You have to stop the fight, but I get it. I don't hate it at all. Like, I think that's a decent stoppage, but instantly in the fight, Derrick Lewis got hit in the eyeball, and you could see him like touching his eye and grabbing it and going like this, faking the eye poke. And he even said that in his post-fight interview. So I was expecting it as soon as I saw him grabbing the eye. And then you saw Tallison Texeira. He started pressing him hard, and Derrick Lewis was able to land a really nice counter left, and it dropped Tallison Texeira to his feet. Derrick Lewis jumped straight on top of him. He tried to secure a position whilst just throwing absolute haymakers. He probably threw about 20 punches on the ground. Tallison was in the process of getting up. He was on like his hands and knees position, getting beat up, and then he just like grabs the cage with both hands like 2 to 3 times to sort of get himself back up, which it did get him back up, but that's where the ref stopped it. Like that was him recovering, and the ref stopped it. But then again, he literally grabbed the cage like 3-4 times, and he probably would have got finished had he not grabbed the cage. So I don't hate the stoppage, but they could have taken 2 points, taken 1 point off for that. But I don't hate it. Texeira took a bunch of punches, and I really think that it was going to keep going that way. If you had seen that Dana White Contender Series fight from Tallison Texeira, you knew that he was going to go in there standing really upright, and you knew that there was a really good chance that Derrick Lewis was just able to land like a looping overhand, similar to the ones that he was able to land on Alexander Volkov. So I'm really happy that Derrick Lewis got to get this one done. I'm happy that Texeira didn't take like a life-changing damage, so he can still come back and beat some like fatties out of the top 15. So I don't hate the result. And you can't grab the cage 4 times, so I get it with the ref. And I don't mind it as well. We can slow play him. He's 25 years old. We can get another like fun Derrick Lewis matchup coming up next, because he's coming off, I think he's coming off 2 wins now. So I think that we should do something fun with Derrick Lewis next. But yeah, it was a odd stoppage, but I'm happy to at least see a round 1 30-second KO finish for Derrick Lewis, even if it wasn't a real KO. Let me know what you think of this card in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed the video, like and subscribe, and I'll catch you next time. Peace.